Along with individual experts, Surgeon Masters brings you life improvement strategies in 10 minutes. These proven principles and strategies are easy to learn and can be applied immediately, allowing you to practice your best. Here's your host, Jeff Smith.
On this episode of the Surgeon Masters mini podcast, I have back with us Dr. Rich Berry, an orthopedic surgeon in Northern California. Rich is widely read and has a great sense of humor, and as a leader in orthopedics in our state and at the national level, he has a deep understanding of the culture of the profession of medicine. So, Rich, what have you found among some of the various things that you've learned, wisdom, lost pearls of medical wisdom?
Jeff, thanks so much for having me back as a guest on the podcast. It's given me an opportunity to kind of poke through some of my favorite books about the culture of medicine. And the one we're going to discuss today, Oscar London's 1987 book, Kill as Few Patients as Possible, is really a classic.
That is a classic. What have you learned that you can share with our listeners?
Oscar London was the pen name of a local internist, the late Dr. Arlen Cohn, who practiced in Berkeley, California for over 40 years. Cohn began writing humorous essays for his high school newspaper in St. Louis. He was a regular column contributor to the San Francisco Chronicle, and during his career, he wrote 4 books about the humor he saw in almost every aspect of the profession of medicine. His books are collections of essays, and they're fabulous. The last one was Viagra and Voodoo.
Oh, gosh.
About all the options we have as physicians now. So I think it's important to remind our listeners about this, one of the most insightful perspectives on the practice of medicine ever written. Not Campbell's operative orthopedics, not Robbins' pathologic basis of disease, not even that laminated ACLS card you panic read before every code. No, I'm talking about the crown jewel of medical satire, Oscar London's Kill as Few Patients as Possible.
It's an interesting title, right?
Yeah. I found it at UC Davis Medical Bookstore shortly after I finished residency and set up practice in this area, and I was just taken by it. I ended up buying copies for all my partners in practice, and I'm surprised to see it's still in print. The title of the book alone deserves applause. Think about it. Most medical textbooks are just full of hubris, a textbook of surgery, current medical diagnosis and treatment. London, in contrast, gave us a mission statement that was achievable, humble, and refreshingly honest. He didn't say heal all. He said, please, for the love of God, just try not to kill too many. Now, that's a bar we can clear.
It's certainly a simple statement, right?
Yeah. You pick up the book the first time and it's just shocking. Wait a minute, I could never kill anybody. Well, I look back over 40 years of career, and I think all of us have knocked off our share. Interestingly, Arlen Cohn, or Oscar London, was a real prophet of humility. He reminded us that doctors are not gods. Although, to be fair, we frequently get to play one on call, and we'd often have the wardrobe for it. Flowing light lab coat, minions with clipboards, and the ability to appear several hours late still be applauded. Humility matters. Patients don't want arrogance. They want honesty. If you don't know, admit it. Just don't admit it while holding a scalpel. Now, let's be real. Nothing brings a doctor back down to earth faster than an EMR login screen that says, welcome, provider. Please reset your password again because you misspelled your mother's maiden name again. God never had to chart like this.
Certainly the EMR, the bane of our existence.
Oscar London insisted that patients remember how you made them feel, not your board scores, which is really a tragedy because I studied for 9 years just to flex my 99th percentile surgery national board scores at cocktail parties.
But it's more than that, right?
Oh, it is. Curiosity is the first diagnostic test. Your job is to listen, make eye contact. Remember, the patient is the one with the disease, not the computer terminal. Nod, empathize. Even when the patient says, Doc, I think my toe fungus started after my neighbor put up that 5G tower. You keep a straight face, you jot it down. Later, you mutter in the hallway, diagnosis, tinea conspiracosa. If you're judging the patient, you've stopped listening. Or has been said, great physicians ask better questions before giving answers.
One more big statement of wisdom.
Yeah. One of London's best lines was something that, you first read it and you kind of go, wait a minute, I can't do that. I'm a surgeon. I've got a whole, armamentarium of great things I could do, and they're funded. London's best line was, Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to do nothing. We live in an era where patients expect 3 MRIs, 2 CT scans, and a latte just for showing up in clinic. But sometimes the best intervention is simply ibuprofen, fluids, and Netflix.
Couldn't agree more.
Of course, you can't say nothing. You have to say, well, we'll adopt a conservative management strategy. Patients nod sagely, not realizing that translates to, call me if you turn purple. Judgment closes the chart. Curiosity opens the differential.
So true.
London had a great overall perspective on the life of being a physician and the life of serving in the community. London knew all too well that burnout doesn't make you noble. It just makes you a bad dinner guest. If your only story at Thanksgiving is about the one time you pulled a Lego out of a nostril, you need to diversify. Play the piano, take up knitting, exercise, anything that reminds you that you're a person, not just a prescription writing machine. My personal hobby is sleeping, something I discovered after residency when I just realized that it's not, in fact, illegal. Highly recommend. Oscar London had no illusions about perfection. Even though you're the best, someone out there is sharpening their legal pencil. That's why the book's title is not Kill No Patients, it's Kill As Few As Possible. Because in medicine, stuff happens. We do our best, and then we pray. Sometimes to God, sometimes to Epic, and occasionally to our malpractice carrier. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is survival. Both yours and the patient's, preferably in that order.
What are some, and you've already given us so many pieces of wisdom, but a couple salient take-home points?
I think London's main points are, first, be humble and approachable. Next, listen more than you talk, and listen while making eye contact. Master the subtle art of doing nothing. Have a life outside of the hospital. Have the ability to accept imperfection. Now, admittedly, this is the most difficult of lessons, especially for those of us who are thoroughly obsessive-compulsive surgeons. This is the time to recall the surgeon's serenity prayer. God, show me where my hands belong, where they must rest, and how to know the difference. And finally, laugh. A lot. When you get the patient to laugh, you remind them they're still human, not just a walking ICD-10 code. And remind yourself that no matter how brutal a shift, you are still alive, still standing, still able to chuckle when the ortho resident prescribes 25 toe raises, Q8 hours, PRN for life. Humor is the coping mechanism that separates doctors from robots. Well, that and handwriting. So, Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity to share one of my favorite books about the world of medicine, written by a classy guy who was a long-serving local physician, and we'll miss him.
Well, and I think you've brought the great message to us in the vein of integrating some humor. And so I love all the lessons that you shared with us today. I appreciate, obviously, your ability to integrate some humor in there, as did London. So thanks so much for sharing that with our audience today.
Thanks, Jeff.
There you have it. In less than 10 minutes, this is Jeff Smith, along with Dr. Rich Berry. Until the next episode of Life Improvement Strategies for the Surgeon Who Wants More. Ciao.
Now, take 10 minutes and put your plan into action to practice your best.